Right, we're now going to use our hydrochloric acid that we used before. We now know the exact concentration of this, so we're going to use it to find the concentration of an unknown solution of sodium hydroxide. It's pretty similar to the last titration. We start by filling the burette with the acid. As before, fill it up to just above the 0 line. And then make sure that there's no bubbles left in the tip, and with the burette at eye level, bring the meniscus down so the bottom of the meniscus is on the 0 line. As before, if you overshoot, you can just record whatever value below that you start at. Then, using the pipette, which we've previously calibrated and made sure that that is okay, we measure out some of the sodium hydroxide, (25 centimetres cube of our unknown sodium hydroxide). And once again, we go up past the calibration line and then bring it back down so that the meniscus is right on the line. And then pipette that into the flask. Make sure sometimes the pipette does not completely empty, so you have to work the filler just to get the last few drops out. Make sure that any of the solutions you've been using are put well out of the way before you go on to the next stage. Fit the flask under the burette and add 5 or 6 drops of methyl orange solution. Swell the flask so you've got the orange-yellow solution. Now on this one you're going to do a series of titrations. The first one is what's called a range finder. So what we do here is just trying to get a rough estimate of what the value is. So once again, we swirl the flask and run the acid in until the colour begins to change, and as the pink colour remains for longer, add smaller amounts of the acid and swirl. There we go, it's now changed colour. So I read off on the burette that it's at 25.4 centimetres cubed and record that, but that is our range finder, it's just a rough estimate. So I now know it takes about 25 centimetres cubed to get the colour change. So we empty out the flask and rinse it, refill the burette, zero the burette. Now this is the second titration. We've refilled the burette and the flask, added the indicator just as before. This time I know that it's going to change at about 25, so I can speed things up a bit. I can just turn the tap and run down the solution until it reaches about 23. And then I can very carefully add the last bit of the acid drop by drop, so I can be absolutely certain of the exact point that it changes colour. It's nearly gone there, but it does disappear with the swirling, and so the next one should do it. And it has actually come on to very close to the same value. It's 25.5 this time.